My parents have married and divorced each other 4 times already, and I'm tired of it.
It's 4 times the love.
So my 26 female parents, both 50, got married when I was 5, and I was the flower girl. Around when I was 10, they got divorced, which no one saw coming because they never fought. I feel like I have to mention my parents are both wealthy and kept finances separate, so it was an easy divorce, and obviously they could pay for it. By the way, this comes from the bride, not the wife. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Dakota.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we know. So please let us know what you know in the comments. And OP says, when I was about 17-ish, they decided to get back together. Me being 17 was overjoyed and was a bridesmaid at their second wedding. I really hope you see where this is going, but they ended up separating again. They didn't tell anyone and didn't get a divorce, but we all knew they were separated. And 3 years later, they wanted to renew their vows, in which I was asked to buy a nice dress for the occasion. Surprise! They got divorced. Again. And only 3 months after the renewal. After that, I sort of just lived my own life because I wasn't exactly thrilled at whatever they were doing. And honestly, really over it. You could only buy so many dresses for your parents' marriage.
And your parents can only get married so many times, right?
Yeah, there's got to be a limit. Is there really no limit to how many times you could marry and divorce the same person?
I wonder what the record is.
So a few days ago, I got an invite in the mail to my parents' 3rd or 4th wedding after 6 years.
Let's call it, they're just doing a 3/4 wedding because they know it's not going to work out.
They're like, it's not a full wedding, guys. Don't get in a twist. We're good. And so I called my mom about it. She was super excited and told me I was old enough to be her maid of honor and that she wants me to buy a $1,500 dress. You guys are wealthy. You buy it for her.
Yeah, come on.
That's a solid no from me. I told her I'd be her maid of honor, but I'm either going to wear the original bridesmaid dress, which is a cream color, or the other nice one I got, which is brown, because I'm not buying a $1,500 dress. She freaked out and told me that those don't match the color scheme, pink and green, and that she knows I can afford it. Girl, huh?
I know you can afford it.
Yeah, what are you talking about? You can't keep making people come to your weddings.
I think that should be a rule. 4th time, you buy the dress for me.
Yeah, which is true. I got an inheritance from my grandfather's passing. However, when my fiance and I moved in together, he made clear he didn't want me to be paying for most things and he wanted to do it 50-50. So we got a small apartment that he could afford to pay his share of, and all of my extra money is in savings and college funds because we want a large family of 5 to 7 kids. Dang! And they are, well, expensive. 5 to 7 kids is many kids.
That's quite the expensive bunch of joy.
So I reminded my mom of that and told her that I also would like to use my money on other things that won't be worn once, and I'll have to buy a new one every 3 to 6 years. My mom called me a spoiled brat and that I'm wasting my privilege. I have no words. And that I'm telling her I won't be a part of my own parents' wedding. I told her that I was going to be willing to show up to the wedding and not be the maid of honor. But at this point, I'm not showing up at all, and told her to call me when they get their next divorce. Dang.
Yeah, I mean...
At that point, what are you going to say?
Kind of justified at that point.
Yeah. I hung up and got a slew of nasty emails from my family throughout the day, and my friends are divided on if I made the right call with the premise that they are my parents. Am I the a-hole? We've got some comments, but what do you think?
This ain't my first rodeo. Y'all have done this before. You'll do it again.
Yeah. No, I can't believe she would ask you to spend $1,500 on a for a wedding you've been to 3 times.
Truly. It's just weird.
It
Just pick a dress that costs a fifth of that.
Yeah. Like, you could pick something that goes with the color scheme that isn't $1,500. Comments. Comment 1 says, not the a-hole 100%. What the F? Who marries and divorces the same person multiple times? You're completely in the right not wanting to spend that much money for a one occasion dress when they most likely will divorce again, and you're gonna need the money with so many kids planned. OP says, I'm starting to think it's because no one else wants to get with them. Comment 2 says, sounds like your mother doesn't want a marriage. She just wants the weddings. It does sound like that. You sound exhausted by all this divorce and remarriage, and I can't blame you one bit. My sister was the girl who cried wedding, and by the time the 4th wedding announcement came, I was happy for her, but I was just so over it. Not the a-hole. And OP says, yeah, I'm happy for them. It's really weird, and I've never really seen them fight or be dysfunctional besides the multiple weddings, so it's hard for me to not want them together, if you take all of this wedding BS aside.
Yeah, I don't think it's about whether or not you're like supportive of it. It's just like
I'm not paying $1,500.
Yeah, I hope this one sticks.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna spend $1,500 on a dress for something that's probably gonna happen again.
I'm not gonna place a bet on the horse that keeps running off the track.
Yeah, how about you do this? You say, you buy the dress, and if you guys are still married in 5 years, I'll pay you back.
I like that. Investment.
Okay, so this Reddit post reads, my ex hid a child from me. Now he wants to co-parent.
Whoa, that's heavy. But honestly, kind of know what they should do.
Really? What?
He should take that kid to the OK Storytime live show May 23rd at the Straight Theater at 7 p.m.
How is that advice?
I wouldn't want to co-parent a kid who can't like comedy.
You know what? That's actually a great point. How do they get tickets?
They just have to go to okop.show. Tickets are $20. This is our first ever live event, guys. We need to see you there.
Comment 3 says, info. Do your parents know you could be with someone without marrying them? OP says, in one ear, out the other. Comment 4 says, info. Which date do they use when celebrating their anniversary? OP says, that's fairly simple. They actually used the day they first met, April 20th. They implemented that when they did the second wedding. Comment 5 says, info. Do they reuse the same vows? OP says, no, actually. There are a couple bits that get reused, but they keep promising each other different things, which makes sense because they couldn't uphold the previous ones. And we've got an update 10 days later. What are you thinking?
I don't think she's going to turn around and buy this dress. Her mom. I think her mom's going to turn around and buy the dress for her.
I hope she figures it out. Because if you really want that dress, buy it for your daughter. You've got the money. You're wealthy. Your husband's wealthy. If you want your daughter there, then you'll get her there. You know?
But then it comes down to, is daughter still even going to go after that last conversation?
That is true. That is true. Update 10 days later. Hi, guys. First of all, thank you for all the attention, and some of your comments were absolutely hilarious. My fiance and I had a field day going through all of them. A lot of people suggested just making my mom pay for the dress, but I was debating the suggestion of just being a guest, though a lot of you agreed with me to just not show up. I ended up calling my mom and was going to make a decision with however it went. She started off the conversation that she didn't need me to be a part of the wedding party because her and my dad were having trouble having the best people. AKA, no one will do it again. LOL. She's like, people aren't lining up in the way that we thought they were. We thought they would really rise to the occasion, and they're letting us down.
Everyone's just like, again cubed.
Again cubed. So they were going to scratch that part of the wedding, and it was all about them anyway. So I told them I was coming as a guest, and after I made plans with my cousin to give me a lift, so I wasn't spending a single cent on going to their wedding. Now, my fiance and I go over to their house for dinner once a month, so we went over there Saturday. As I mentioned before in a comment or two, my fiance grew up financially insecure, and so I struggle with convincing him to do something nice for himself once in a while. I did, however, just convince him to spend part of our savings to do a really nice honeymoon in Greece, since we're doing a small wedding. It took some pulling of teeth, but he now won't stop getting travel books and researching, and it makes me so happy to see him excited about this. By the way, I would be excited if you listened to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. We've got a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
I'll go to the wedding.
Yeah.
It's also
I'll be there.
It's also cute that your partner is researching the trip.
That is sweet.
That's
I
cute.
think it seems like you guys have a better relationship than your parents. I don't really know what's going on with your parents' relationship, honestly. It seems confusing and convoluted, but also seems like you've figured it out. You're going to go to the wedding, but you're not really going to be a part of it at all. So we're good.
We're all good here.
Now you just get to focus on your own wedding. It was a fairly pleasant dinner until my own wedding planning came up. Oh no. I told him that we were pretty much set with the wedding, but were hashing out details on Greece. My mom got visibly upset and excused herself, and my dad followed. I was pretty confused, but they came back, and my dad calmly explained that my mom feels very hurt that I'd be willing to spend thousands of dollars on my honeymoon, but wouldn't shell out money for their wedding. Did she listen to herself at all?
That's one way to feel about that.
Yeah, on your 4th wedding versus her own honeymoon.
Yeah, honestly, 4th wedding, the aesthetic needs to be tuxedo t-shirt. What are we doing?
Yeah, like you're on the beach in flip-flops. I don't care. I was pretty dumbfounded and said, well, we're willing to have an expense on the honeymoon because we are only getting married once.
Oh! Yo!
So yeah, I got kicked out of the house and uninvited from the wedding. Not super torn up about it, and this is now my fiance's favorite story to tell. Happy holidays. Okay.
Sick. Yeah, if that's how my parent would react to that, I'd probably feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
Whatever. Maybe
Peace
they'll
out.
invite me to the 5th one.
Yeah. Guess you're going to Greece. Comment 1, your parents are toxic and wild AF. I picture your fiance just sipping tea while all of this was going down. Your response to your mom's entitlement was perfection. Are they still invited to your wedding? And OP says, that's currently what's up in the air. I'm leaning towards no, because I know they're going to do something to ruin it. Fiance is on the side of, it's going to be perfect no matter what happens. He just really wants to call me his wife, LOL. So he thinks it would bring quality entertainment. Hell yeah. Well, there you go.
Well, there you have it, folks.
And that's how the cookie crumbles, you know?
How to not go to your parents' 4th wedding.
Yeah.
It's I feel rare that it would happen with the same people.
What?
4 times in a row.
I know. To keep cycling back to the person that you divorced just so many times is strange. It really is
Yeah,
strange.
It's just got to stick at some point, one
You
way
would
or the
think.
other.
You would think. But that's the end of that story, and we've got another one coming right up.
I escaped my family after their betrayal, but they still managed to track me down.
You betrayed me!
God, where do I actually begin with this mess? I, 28 female, was with Wienerhead, 30 male, my ex-boyfriend, who from now on I will only call DH, for nearly 5 years. We met in college and hit it off immediately, never had any fight or anything of that nature. I'm fairly level-headed and always seek communication first, which worked out really well in our favor. When we finished up our courses, I got a job close to my family and moved back in with, I'm just going to call him Duh.
What about call him Derek?
What about Duh?
Okay, sure.
I got a job close to my family and moved back with Duh in tow. And he eventually got a good job too, and everything seemed perfect. By the way, this comes from user Unalive Me Like a Soup, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Sophia.
We're going to read this story. We're going to give some good advice, goofily, but we don't have all the answers to all of life's questions. That's where you come in. Let us know what you know in the comments, as OP says. Then, 3 years ago, and just after we'd become engaged, which was his idea alone, by the way, I had had no idea he'd even wanted to get married, I came home early one day to find him having spicy sleep with my mom. 66 female.
Ah!
The ultimate betrayal.
No!
Trust me when I say that if I could have burned my eyes out of my head at that point, I would have. I literally had nightmares for months after of him and her on the kitchen table. Long story short, I threw the engagement ring at him, pushed my crying mother away from me, and took off. I obviously told my father, 67 male, straight away, who wasn't surprised, to my horror.
Dang. What do you mean he wasn't surprised that mama and your dude were getting it on, or just that your mama was cheating? What was he not surprised about?
Well, apparently, Sophia,
Oh no.
they had been talking about opening their relationship. And they had just done so. And she had never told him who she'd intended on partnering with. He actually said that maybe I needed to really think about whether monogamy was really the right way and what harm was there really in my mom having a little fun with Duh.
Ah! Sorry, that was too loud. Ah!
Yeah.
Immediately cutting off all of them.
I'm moving continents.
I'm moving continents. I'm cutting off all of them. I'm saying, I'm sorry, Dad. We're going to do a little mind exercise. Picture your mom, Dad. Picture Grandma. Now picture the grandma. Actually, no, I guess picture your dad. Picture your dad, Grandpa, getting it on with Mom.
I don't even want to know his response to that.
Yeah.
What if he's just like, ooh, I never thought about that.
You know what? I never thought about that. And I power to him.
I don't know why I never thought about that. You have to understand at this point that my dad gets into phases where he gets completely absorbed into some lifestyle he reads about and thinks that it suits him better, such as when we were young and he went through a phase where he felt that the hunter-gatherer lifestyle was the right way and got us all learning to hunt.
I don't understand. Don't tell me I have to understand. I don't understand.
I mean, hey, you know, your mom banging your boyfriend aside, the hunter-gathering lifestyle, I think is going to come back in a big way.
Big time.
As hard as that was to stomach, my father saying that to me, I knew that what happens between them is their own business.
No.
I mean, it is until it becomes
it's
your
your
business. Yeah. My dad had basically approved my mother's betrayal of me. This is where I really lucked out. Thank you, personal finance advisor I went to during college. I'd been the only one of us saving for a house and had a nice tidy sum of money locked up in my account. So I left. I took off with no note, no message, and handed in my notice at my job, rang my landlord and paid whatever it took to free me from the lease. I left all the furniture and stuff I owned because I just didn't care. I packed a bag of clothes and essentials, got into my car, and left. I had a blast. I crossed the states in the best road trip I've ever had all by myself. I eventually found another job on the West Coast and have worked it ever since. I met my husband, had a really small wedding, as neither of us are big on those sorts of things, and now I have a beautiful 3-month-old son after a pretty hard pregnancy.
Dang, you had like a full life, just like upheaval. And now you're doing so well.
Yeah, you've made the life. You've made the life you're living. Congratulations.
Yeah, power to you.
In all that time, I only ever kept in touch with my sisters. They attended my wedding secretly, as I didn't want my parents knowing anything about my life, as they'd only try to come to and ruin it all. They were the first to hear of my pregnancy and so on, and my husband knows everything, by the way, just in case you're wondering. The problem I'm faced with is that my younger sister confessed to my parents everything about where I am, about the fact I'm married, and that I've had a baby.
No.
I've not been able to get in touch with my sister since I started getting letters and phone calls from my parents.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up. That's pretty messed up of your sister.
Another betrayal.
You just can't get rid of these people.
It's all one big giant guilt trip. They whine about how much they miss me, how they've missed such important events in my life, and how they want to know their first grandchild. Not an hour ago, I got a voice message from Duh, who was blubbering a sob story over how he thought I was passed away or something, about how devastated he was and still is that I left him, and now to find out that I've moved on. I'm sorry. Get in the river. That's where I'm throwing you.
Jump on in, bud, because I'm going to get you in there if you don't.
It's time to move again.
The audacity to say, well, first, the audacity to cheat on you.
Yeah.
With your mother.
I'm pretty sure OP moved on the moment she saw you banging her mom, dude.
Yeah. And then she up and leaves, never contacts you again. And then you are like, oh, why'd you do that to me? That was so hurtful. Shut up, I don't care.
Yeah, actually, it's so insane. My husband is a star and has basically just said that whatever I decide, he'll stand behind me 100%. My real issue is that my resolve is starting to crack. I look at my son and think that maybe he should know them. And while he has wonderful grandparents and my in-laws, surely he should know my own family too. I just need advice here. Should I stay strong, or are they right in that I shouldn't have done what I did? There are some comments here, and I have some thoughts.
Oh, boy.
But what are your thoughts?
Stay strong. Go to therapy. These people are not your family. They don't seem to care about you. I think they care more about their own guilt in the situation.
Yeah, that's the cornerstone for me, is that they reach out to you and they're like, but we are so upset and sad and hurt.
No apologies for what they did. It doesn't seem like they're sad or feel bad about it in the slightest.
Yeah. Why would they be? That what they're doing is the best way to do it.
Yes, everyone should be doing it like that.
Yes. So we've got comments from Moosterman. In those weak moments, ask yourself, what would you get out of reestablishing contact with your parents, or more specifically, your mother? Are you looking for some sort of closure, or is it just going to reopen old wounds? Your parents seem like very selfish people, so you need to adopt the same stance when dealing with them. Best of luck. OP replies, I don't think closure is ever really possible. I guess I do miss my mother as I knew her, but I can't ever get her back. Even now, when I think of her, I just see the kitchen all over again. I think the contact has to stop, really. I just know what they're like. If their letters and stuff don't get through, then I'd imagine they're going to turn up at my door. I'm actually half terrified that they're on their way right now. So much so that I've even mentioned to my husband about selling up and moving. He's not impressed at that, and by not impressed, I mean at my parents, that they caused that sort of fear in me that I'd give up on our family home to escape them. And how did Duh get her number? I don't have any idea how he got my number, but I'd imagine he got it from them. I don't want to even think of the possibilities of that. As for my husband, I'm certain he's safe, but I don't want him feeling in any way insecure over some a-hole from my past. My only fear is that they know where I live. I just have this horrible pit in my stomach that one day they'll just turn up at my door. I've been talking to my husband about maybe looking into moving, and the most he's willing to do is go and stay with his parents for a few days. And there is an update. Yeah, I think, honestly, if you move again at this point, you can't. That means that they've won. They're winning.
Yeah. I think that you could potentially change your phone number. I think that could help, and then just not give it to your sister. But honestly, I think change your phone number, stay where you live. And if they show up, then we take more drastic steps, maybe get a restraining order if you need it.
Yeah, and you should probably try to illustrate to your youngest sister why that was really, really not okay. And she's going to be on an information diet, but that, you still care about her. But that, she can't do that.
And then you detail exactly what you saw in the kitchen.
Yeah, you go ahead and let her know. You go, if mom did that to your boyfriend, would you be happy with that?
No.
Update. Just a really short update in that my sister got in touch. We'll be talking properly in another hour when she's free, so I'm bracing myself for that talk. I'll try to update for you all eventually. I've actually found this really therapeutic. Special thanks to all of those who suggested Raised by Narcissists. I've read a few threads, and it's been really eye-opening to see that what I had thought as normal was completely removed from it. Thanks again, everyone. And there's another update from 6 weeks later.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Keep it going.
Hey, it's been a while since I last posted. And things have been a little crazy, so posting an update was pushed to the back of the to-do list until today. Before I start, I just want to say thanks so much to all those who replied, even those who said this was fake. You have no idea how good it was to see people who honestly believed this was so far out that it couldn't be real. And it really helped solidify my decision that they weren't getting any more contact. That is true. When people are like, this is so messed up, it can't even be real.
I just hope it's not.
Yeah, you got to go oh, thank God. Yeah, I'm totally justified.
Yeah.
My younger sister and I talked, and to be honest, it was not a pleasant conversation. I was essentially berated for not being forgiving enough and told that family is family, and that I was cheating our parents from being part of my life and of my sons. Wow. Well, I would say it was the parent who was helping my boyfriend cheat on me by banging him in the kitchen that actually prevented that. I think she cheated herself out of that relationship. Thankfully, and in no small part due to all of you knocking some sense into me, I basically told her to just forget it and hung up the phone. I cried for a long time. I hadn't seen this coming at all, and it really hurt. Almost as bad as when this had all exploded the first time. What really has me confused is what had happened to her that created this huge swing in opinion, where suddenly I'm the bad guy for wanting a normal life without my parents ruining it again. Even now, I have no idea what happened, only that she woke up one day and now thinks I'm the worst person in the world. I bet you she's in an open relationship.
Yeah, and I bet it's not going well for her.
She's in an open relationship with her boyfriend's dad.
Yeah.
So after that is when my husband really stood up. He bundled me and all the little ones into a car and drove us all up to his parents' place for a few days, having called them and explaining everything that was happening. and his mother insisted that we get away from the house for a bit to have a break. When we got there, his mom nearly smothered me with kindness.
Aw.
She's very much a motherly person and took every opportunity to babysit my son and leave me to rest. My husband, while I was relaxing and unknowing of what he was up to, called my other sister, B, and got her up to speed on what was going on. From what I can tell, since then it's been an all-out war between them and my parents. B barged over there that very night and apparently read the riot act to our younger sister, M. It got pretty heated from what I can tell, and since then, B has cut M off completely, which is a huge problem for M, as B had been helping fund her way through college.
Ew.
After that fight, B got in her car and drove all the way back to our parents' house, and there it got even messier. She rang after to tell my husband that our parents had actually been packing suitcases when she arrived. They had bought plane tickets to our state and planned on leaving midway through that week, and B blew up.
No, wait, so they were planning on going to try and confront OP.
Yes, of course they were.
Dang.
Of course they were.
Yeah. Classic parents. Well, maybe they would have missed you. Maybe you would still have been at your in-laws. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a shock to the system, and that would suck so hard. But, you know, I would like to think if they showed up, you could just go, hey, the police are going to be here. You are not welcome here.
Bye.
So, the fight was pretty brutal, I'm sure. B is razor sharp, and then she left. She couldn't convince them not to travel over to me, but she left with what details she could get of their flight times. My husband decided that he wouldn't tell me just yet, as my earlier freak out at them potentially turning up had convinced him that I needed to be as uninvolved in this as possible. Instead, he left me at his parents' while he went back to our house to wait for them to arrive. When they did, he apparently answered the door and told them to get off his property. My father and him had a blazing argument, which ended when my father tried to break down the door, which my husband used as prime motivation to call the police. When they arrived, my father tried to claim that my husband was keeping me caged up like a prisoner and not allowing me to see my family. I know this because I received a phone call and a visit from the local police in his parents' area to follow up on the claim, and that also alerted me to the fact that they'd follow through on the threat and had actually crossed the country to reach me. So they've gone back east as they couldn't get anywhere near me or my baby, but since then the trouble hasn't stopped. We've gotten at least 8 notices from their lawyers regarding getting access to our son, and our own lawyer told us it was incredibly unlikely that they'll get anything. We've also had 4 visits from CPS and the police because of anonymous calls about everything from our parenting to me being a battered wife. Our lawyer thinks these are orchestrated so that if the case goes to court, they can point to a record and chalk this one down to me being paranoid, but I just have this really bad gut feeling that they've hired a private investigator or something. I don't understand how making 5 false CPS claims is going to back you up in court.
Yeah, I mean, they are anonymous, so they can't necessarily prove that it's them, but it's pretty obvious.
Yes, all these anonymous claims that when they were investigated were shown to be entirely false.
Yeah. I wonder.
That's right. And we do have that recorded instance of my father and mother traveling across the country trying to break down our front door and then telling the police that I'm a battered wife, to which that was also immediately proven false.
Legally, I think you're fine. I think you're totally good, but it is so frustrating to go through all of that court stuff and then your family. That is incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. B is telling me to hold the line. She's going through something similar herself and has had 5 police visits in the last month, one of which was apparently over an anonymous call that she was running a brothel.
What? If anyone's running a brothel, it's your parents.
I guess we've really pushed our parents to the edge that they'd rather ruin our lives than leave us alone. But by the way, it would ruin our lives if you left us alone. So you should go listen to full episodes with stories just like this on your favorite podcast platform like iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. All you have to do is search OK Storytime. Go do it, please, or our lives will be ruined. Okay, we are coming up on the end of the story. Like, man, there really needs to be like, I understand because the nature of the system is to protect kids but man, it's like when it can be like proven without a shadow of a doubt that someone has weaponized this system, they should go to jail.
They should. If you make a bunch of false CPS claims that keep being proven to be not true. I mean, like, how do you even make an anonymous claim? Like, wouldn't they at some point, is this a thing you go online to do? Is this a thing you're calling someone? Because at a certain point, if I keep getting the same call about like this one family that keeps turning up false, I would be monitoring the calls that I get about them.
It's just one of those things where it's built out because it's like it's anonymous so that I guess a report goes through and the people who were reported can't seek retribution on them or whatever. And it's like maybe something slips through the cracks and it just is a bad situation, but they didn't catch it. Whatever. All I know is your parents deserve to be in jail.
Yeah. They're stalking you. They're falsifying claims. Get them out of there.
They can see your son through a very thick glass window.
Yeah.
And even then, no, they can't.
You're not bringing them there.
Anyway, let's finish the story. As to everything else, we are now planning on moving. Not sure when or where yet, but even my husband is growing tired of the drama. We're still in the planning stages and trying to find out every way possible of making sure that if we do move, we can legally prevent them from finding out. It's just all so dang tiring. What's sadder is that I know this isn't really about me. It's about my baby and my parents trying to exert some sort of control over his life and mine. Today has just been such a long day. Any similar stories, advice, or words of encouragement would be greatly appreciated. As today was the first day, the future just seemed like a bleak hole of legal entanglements and crazy parents. And we do have some more comments here. But I can't imagine them succeeding. Silver lining.
Yeah, no. I think the tough part here is that you just have to keep dealing with it. But I don't think that they will actually have any legal standing here to try and take your son. Their biggest advantage is just their constant ability to keep annoying you.
Yeah, their stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah, they've got stamina.
Well, we've got some comments from Lordica. You're in the process of getting a restraining order, right? Nerdy Handle says, I hope she is, because this is clearly intimidation. She should talk to her lawyer because there are paper trails to CPS complaints and police calls. If the parents have made several complaints to CPS and those complaints have been deemed false by CPS, CPS may even go after the parents. OP says our lawyer is looking into it, but it takes time, unfortunately. Right now, he's doing really well keeping them at bay with increasingly aggressive counter letters and recording everything that occurs. The problem is that they've been very careful not to actually let on that it's them doing it. Right now, as our lawyer says, it's a case of their word versus ours, and that we'd secure a far better and more long-term order if we got some proof to back up what we suspect. Unfortunately, the legal aspect isn't considered intimidation, and the calls to the police and CPS haven't shown up as them. He's hopeful, though, and thinks that they'll make a mistake, and we can link them to the calls if they keep it up. Is there really no way?
That's
where they're just doing star 67?
Yeah.
Is there there's really no way around that level of technology?
They're like, hello, this is Mrs. Smith. I would like to call a claim. I have no ties to these people.
Yeah, they're just calling from public payphones.
Yeah, hello, this is, again, Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Different Mrs. Smith.
Hello, this is not OP's dad. This person is,
Hello, this is Hugh Janus calling about OP.
Hugh Janus. Whatever, that is the end of that story.
Guys, this story started with OP's mom cheating with OP's partner.
And then OP's dad was like, whatever, she's just having a little fun. Have you ever thought that this might actually be the best thing ever? Crazy.
Crazy.
We've got another story, though, coming right up.
My stepdaughter called me a homewrecker after living with me for years.
Yeah, but did you wreck a home first?
My stepdaughter and I don't have a good relationship. I have been in her life since she was 9. Her father and I started dating 3 months after he filed for divorce. Ooh.
Not technically a homewrecker.
Ooh.
Optically, you were a first responder.
You were first on the scene. And you know what they say? Criminals usually do return to the scene of the crime.
That is true.
We were colleagues for a short while, about a year before the divorce, but we didn't have any relationship back then.
Yeah, except for, I don't know, the relationship that maybe might have led to the divorce.
I left the firm just 6 months after we started working together. I didn't even think about him once till we reconnected at a party hosted by one of our colleagues. By the way, this comes from Beneficial Error 4840, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Dakota.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, his ex-wife thinks that he had an affair with me. You know what? It is a tough look for you.
I mean, that would be a hard court case.
There is nothing we can do to convince her otherwise. She told her daughter about her suspicions when she was around 13. Also, bad parenting move.
Yeah, that's not very cool.
Not cool. We had a great relationship till then, and I tried to tell her that her dad didn't cheat. She doesn't believe us. It's just our words against her mother, and the timeline does look a bit suspicious. She withdrew from me, and she has always been distant since then, and sometimes made some remarks about her father being a cheater, and it was very hard on both of us. It was something we tried to talk about, but it was just our words against her mother's, and she truly believed it.
Yeah.
That's so tricky. She returned home for summer break after her freshman year and decided to spend most of the time with her mother, but she does visit us a few times. She visited us 2 days ago. She was in a remarkably bad mood. She was just stewing in silence and watching something on TV. I asked her to turn the volume down as I was working, and she blew up on me. She called me a homewrecker and a gold digger. She accused me of ruining her parents' marriage. I was stunned and shocked, and it hurt me. I knew she didn't like me, but she clearly hated me. I think her calling me a gold digger hurt the most. I am at a stage of my career where I want to switch to something less stressful, but one of the reasons I don't is because we don't want her to be burdened by debt. I love this girl even if she doesn't care about me. I asked her to leave the house and come back when she was a bit calmer. She left the house and she's not talking to her father. He tried to talk to her and she's not speaking to him. I feel incredibly guilty. I should have handled it better. I got too emotional about it. I really can't blame her for believing what her mom told her. If my mom told me something similar about dad, I would have believed it. And I can't blame her mother too. If you believe that your spouse cheated, wouldn't you tell your children at some point? No, because those are your children and you're trying to create a good relationship between you and their father and them.
Well, I mean, I would at some point.
But I would probably, hopefully, have that conversation with the ex-partner and say, let's figure out how we're going to talk about this.
But, she's just under the impression that there was infidelity and is then, feeding that to the daughter who is 13 and being like, yeah, your father's a complete scumbag. Like, of course she's going to believe that and hate her dad and hate you.
Forever, apparently. I let her words get to me and I may have hurt my husband's relationship with her. I feel guilty as heck. My husband also thinks that I should have been calmer here and just let her vent a bit before talking to her. Am I the a-hole here? And we do have an update. Thoughts?
I mean, are you the a-hole for clapping back a little? It really needed to be more on dad, I think, to really
agree.
lock this down and be like, look, your mother is really upset and hurt, but I would never do that to her. And, the way things look sometimes, you can see why it would look like that, but it's simply not. And that's the truth.
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know, if she's willing to listen, maybe the dad's sitting down and saying, I don't want to involve you in the reasons why we got a divorce, but you don't have to tell everything, but saying we were dealing with this and we had a lot of arguments and it just wasn't a healthy relationship. And literally just walking through that timeline really specifically may help, but I don't know.
But yeah, it's really on him to address this and fix it instead of just being probably the very passive dad move of just well, whatever, it'll fix itself.
Yeah, she'll come around eventually. No. A month later, though, I was overwhelmed with the amount of comments I received. I read most of them, but some of them were pretty judgmental and harsh on all of us. She did make up with her dad a few days after, but she didn't come over. Some people suggested that I show her evidence, But the funny thing is that I have done, because we had no relationship outside of the office. He had an email address and a nice voice on the phone for my time there. I think we interacted in person maybe once a week. We weren't even in the same department. I think show her all that. I have shown her our resume. I have tried to show her our ID tags, but she thinks we're hiding our relationship. You can't prove a negative. My husband did have a conversation about how she treated me. I think it got through to her. She visited yesterday and she apologized for being short-tempered. I apologized for kicking her out of the house. We had a nice dinner and we ended up talking. My baby got cheated on.
Oh no.
Yeah, this makes sense. Makes sense why she's lashing out. Obviously, it seems like she hasn't, liked you or had a close relationship with you since she was 13. But it seems like this moment kind of exacerbated this feeling. She did lash out on me, but considering what she believed, she just took out all the hurt on me. By the way, it won't hurt if you listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
Hate to see someone get cheated on for real.
That is really hard. And I also imagine that it would be kind of hard if she's going to her mom and her mom's like, oh, I know how you feel. And giving this kind of false equivalency. And I'm just kind of speculating on how that might go, but it's tough. The problem is that she really doesn't have any previous experience, but she thinks, Opie's stepdaughter thinks that she has previous trauma of this.
And that's her mom's fault.
Yeah, and that is her mom's fault. But there's a little left. She looked so heartbroken talking about it. I know how bad it is when you love someone so much that even when they trample your heart, you just want to pick it up and offer it back to them. I had just gotten out of a toxic, messed up relationship with a cheating a-hole when I met my husband. It was heartbreaking watching her go through something similar. I did cry a little. She let me hug her, and that means a lot to me. I missed my baby. We have so much to work through. We are seriously considering having some family therapy, but I didn't want to spring it on her when she was emotional. I think that's a good idea.
I agree.
My husband is planning to talk to her about it. Things are still a mess, but after a long time, I feel like we are moving in the right direction. And that's the end of the story.
Yes, the direction of forward.
You just got to keep moving forward.
My brother said I spoil my wife too much, so I told him to get out.
Shut up, brother.
I, 28 male, told my brother, 35 male, to F off because he thinks I spoil my wife, 24 female, too much. Here's some backstory. Me and my brother come from a company family, and it was pretty known that one day he'd take over the family firm. But that didn't happen because my brother wanted to be an engineer, so I stepped in to fill his spot. It wasn't on purpose. I just enjoyed the family business. By the way, this comes from user Oddbar732. If you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Sophia.
We're going to read this story. We're going to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we know. So let us know what you know in the comments. As OP says, I also invested in a lot of things and have multiple streams of income. My wife comes from an unfortunate background, so I like to fulfill a lot of her childhood dreams. I love to see her face when I take her new places and buy her new things. And I honestly think that's what she deserves. She's worked hard her whole life, and I just want to make the rest of her life easier. I don't want to burden her with the things she's dealt with as a child. And my wife also struggles with mental health, and I treasure taking her on vacation or sending her on one so she can have a break from her mind. Look, I'm obsessed with my wife, okay? And I know sometimes I can go overboard, but it's a way of me expressing my love language. I send her flowers because she loves them. Our wedding was wildflower themed. So last Sunday was our wedding anniversary. So yeah, I filled our house with wildflowers. Okay, sue me.
Yeah, you're so sweet. This is so beautiful.
Yeah, I'm a nice, thoughtful, loving partner. Oops.
Sue me.
Sorry, broski. Yes, that seems dramatic, but my wife loved it, so I don't care.
Your wife is a princess. Treat her accordingly.
It seems whimsical and nice. My family came over and made us dinner to celebrate our anniversary. It was a great time, and I enjoyed sharing this with my family until I stepped away to talk with my brother. I will say, we had had a few drinks, and yes, we know how to put it down. We're Italian.
Yeah, we know how to put it down.
We started having a civil conversation about our wives. It was fine until my brother said, "You spoil your wife way too much. My wife think it's to compensate for a bad marriage."
Yeah, because your wife is sad that you don't do anything for her, bruh.
Yeah, your wife's coping mechanism for her own discontent is
Yeah.
to just be like, good things are actually bad things.
They actually have a lot of problems. That's why he's so nice to her.
Mhm. Yeah, they have to try. That's why. It must be so bad. They're trying so hard.
Not like us. That's why we do nothing in our marriage. And we never go on a date night because we have a good marriage.
Yeah, we simply don't have to. Of course. I was pissed. And on all the days, he had to say it on my anniversary. I snapped and told him to F off. And if his wife and him think like this, they're no longer welcome in my home or around my wife. Well, I will say, buddy, that kind of reaction does kind of paint you like, I don't know, you feel a little guilty. So, yeah.
Don't come around me. You're my wife.
Yeah, but that might be the drinks talking.
Could be.
Him and his wife eventually left, but not without a fight. My sister-in-law shouted at my family saying, "I don't know why we treat that outsider like family." My mother was pissed, probably more than my wife. But anyway, am I the a-hole? No, but you could learn interrogation technique.
Yeah, I feel like we could have just been chill about it and been like, well, sucks to suck for your relationship. My relationship is good, G.
I think your brother should have ended up being the one who got upset because you should have turned it around and been like, wow, your wife sounds really unhappy.
Yeah, you could have just turned that on him and it probably still would have ended in a big old thing, but I think you're good, dude.
Your wife is so unhappy, she's outright rejecting the concept of, like, whimsical relationship stuff.
Yeah.
But there's an update. So, update. It's me and brother, and we had a small talk, and we decided that we were both just wasted and said a few things. But I'm keeping my distance because of his wife's comments. I've read through the comments on my last post, and I can agree, I think my sister-in-law is a bit biased from some passive-aggressive comments she made about my wife, but she apologized for them in the past. Another issue as to why I'm keeping such a distance from my sister-in-law is because me and my wife are pregnant. She told me this week.
Yay!
Congratulations. I'm really concerned situations like this will happen around my child, and I don't want that. I don't want my child to think I would allow microaggressions thrown at them in their own home. Well, I think you should teach your child that, like, microaggressions shouldn't bother you. They're microaggressions. Just let it... What? Is that... Oh, you're blowing some spit.
Do you feel microaggressed?
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. Okay. I told my brother this, and he understands, but he's hurt that I think about his wife in such a way. But I simply don't care. I can't sympathize with him on this. My sister-in-law is a grown woman and knows exactly what she says and how that can affect people. Another thing I want to address is my brother has bought my sister-in-law a whole lot and has taken her on multiple vacations. And my brother makes enough money to provide what I do, and I'll be honest, he has a trust fund I'm sure is more than enough. Yes, I do make a bit more money, and that's only because of outside income, and my wife has a good job as well. She makes good money. She works in marketing. So I don't think my sister-in-law is jealous of what I provide, but maybe what I give to my wife emotionally. Yes, there you have it.
You nailed it.
And by the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories like this one on your favorite podcast platform, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, just search OK Storytime. We're almost at the end of the story.
I think you know why they reacted the way they reacted, and I think you just need to keep on making those beautiful floral arrangements for your wife.
Yeah, I think this was almost could have been just a learning opportunity for your brother.
Yeah.
To be like, yeah, hey, so I think your wife actually kind of wants her house full of wildflowers on your anniversary. Yeah. Maybe think
wink,
about that.
Wink.
Maybe think about trying that. But let's finish the story. As well, my mother and sister aren't speaking to my sister-in-law at the moment, and she's blaming my wife instead of me. This just makes me want to distance myself from her more. One more thing is, yes, my wife spoils me just as much. She's always doing things for me. For example, she's been really into making bento boxes, and she's been making them every day for me to take to lunch.
Aw, that's so cute.
Wonderful.
I love that.
She also buys me a lot for film. Me and my friends have made short films since college. And she recently bought me a new electric guitar for my birthday in May that I've been wanting for a long time. Of course, she buys me things sporadically at Target when she goes, just to go. Anyway, there's an update. I'm just keeping my distance from them. Hopefully nothing blows up. And that is the end of that story.
And there you have it, folks.
There you have it, folks.
There you have it.
So there you have it, folks. Sometimes you're such a good husband, it ruins your brother's relationship with his wife.
Yeah. So don't have such good relationships or you're going to get in trouble.
Make sure you always bring yourself down to the level of those around you.
Lower expectations.
Yes.
But folks, that's the end of that story. And we've got some comments that we're getting into. And these comments come from the video, I want to dump my boyfriend because he tried to swap my phone without permission.
Gotta get permission for that.
And this was posted March 14th, 2026. And the TLDR comes from story 1. OP's boyfriend kept pushing her to switch from Android to iPhone over a texting feature. When she said no, he tried to secretly upgrade her phone at a phone store without her permission, then gave her a phone for Christmas that was already set up under his own Apple ID. When she called it out, he called her ungrateful and said she needed supervision. They fought, she spent Christmas in the guest room, and she's now realizing the whole phone thing was never really about the phone at all. Now she's trying to figure out how to leave, since she lives with him, is not on the lease, and has been using his credit for her small business. If you're curious to know the full story, you can go watch the full video.
Oh no, they got a business baby. No, it's so hard when you got a business baby.
But we've got some comments from May 7, who says she doesn't want an effing iPhone. That's why.
Yeah, no, I remember this story. It was just like, but babe, we can send so many cool, funny stickers and do different little things. It would be so great.
And that's such a good point. And that's the point I try to make to Vincent every time we are put in a group chat together.
Yeah, and the only logical thing to do is to do fraud and make Vincent get a new phone.
You're so right.
That's what we have to do.
Smile5210 says, me. My phone works so much better than my friend's Apple things. People from the rest of the world see it. Why are people here so ridiculous about it?
Because of the funny stickers.
The stickers, guys.
I love a funny sticker.
XXMCRFOBTH lover. XX says, my first iPhone burnt my leg because the battery exploded in my pocket. I haven't touched Apple again. We lovingly refer to it as crapple in my household. No thanks. I'll stick with my Android. I will say that does sound like a pretty large fluke.
Yeah, it's a pretty big problem. Was also a big problem with a lot of Samsungs.
Yeah. Roy Shelia says, yes, he's trying to be a manipulative jerk if he doesn't allow you the freedom to use whatever tech device works best for you and expects you to switch for his comfort level. I think there's bigger issues that he's been hiding below the surface. If you stay with this guy, go get some couples counseling fast.
The whole thing of the story was, it's like, it's not just about the phone.
Yeah, no.
It's not.
There's other issues here, clearly. But that's the end of this episode, folks. So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And see you tomorrow.
Hey, don't leave yet. We have bonus stories for you that we think you'll enjoy. So stay tuned for the next one. My ex-wife wants to adopt our son along with her new wife. I'm standing firm with a no.
This isn't a 2-for-1 deal here.
I, 35 male, was married to my ex-wife, 34 female, for 7 years. 2 years ago, my ex-wife came out as a lesbian. This came out as a complete shock to me. She and her partner were co-workers who had an affair since she joined the company a year before our divorce. We have a son together, 8 male. This came as a complete shock to me. I was heartbroken and devastated. By the way, this comes from user OKCarrot5110. And if you want to submit your stories, you can do so on the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I felt betrayed as I had spent 7 years of my life with this woman, and it all felt like a lie now. When I confronted her, she told me that she, quote, had to live her truth and that she tried to suppress her identity because she didn't come to terms with it until she met her partner. When I asked whether she loved me, she told me that while she loves me, it's different than how she loved her new partner. This broke my heart even further. The divorce was quick, as as she did not want anything from me, and we agreed to do a 50-50 split of custody, but I decided to go no contact with her and handled the custody transfer process through my sister, 27, female, whom I moved in with after the divorce. I sold the house, and we mutually agreed that the excess money from the sale will be in a college fund for our son in the future. I could not bear the stay in that house anymore, as it kept reminding me of her betrayal. For context, she introduced her partner as her work friend, and I believed it. I had no reason to suspect anything, and they had several girls' nights, but I figured that they were probably using these as cover for the affair. For 6 months, I was in a depressive state because I didn't know where I went wrong, but this is one of those scenarios that anything I would have done wouldn't have been able to make it better. This made me even more depressed, and the fact that all the vows and little things that she said at our wedding, all just lies trying to keep up a ruse, made it even worse. The two people that got me through this state were my sister, whom I am eternally grateful for, helping with her nephew and helping me while maintaining her career. The other person that got me through this was my ex-college girlfriend. Around 4 months after the divorce, we reconnected at a reunion, and she really helped me through the worst of it as a friend. Around a year after the divorce, we officially started dating, and I introduced her to my son. During all this time, my ex's partner had been having limited interactions with my son. This was not because of me saying anything, but my ex-wife wanted him to adjust to his new reality. My son is in that weird age that he understands what's going on, but he doesn't really understand what's actually going on. If you know, you know. He understands that mommy has a girlfriend and that me and his mom are not together anymore. I'm pretty happy considering we didn't really talk to him about the LGBTQ+ stuff because we had decided that we can talk about this when he's a bit older, but I'm happy that he's come to terms with the divorce. Around 8 months ago, my ex said that she was officially moving in with her partner and that she was engaged. At this point, I still was on no contact except brief conversations that concerned our son. She invited me to the wedding, but I declined. They were planning to have a destination wedding in Spain where her girlfriend lives. She wanted to take our son to the wedding, and he would have had to miss school for a week since she wanted him to meet her girlfriend's family as well. I told her that missing school for a week does not make sense and that she should plan her wedding when he has a vacation since she doesn't have a fixed date yet. She argued that most likely they won't have a date that will align with his vacation and that they are getting married as soon as possible. I relented and agreed since I didn't want to interact with her anymore, and it was well within her rights to have her son at her wedding. The problem started when my son came back after the wedding. He was supposed to stay with me since we have a flexible week in, week out custody agreement. She wanted to take my son on her honeymoon so that he has a chance to bond with his new stepmother. What? What did I just read? I want to take my son onto my honeymoon trip.
I just don't think like kids should be on any honeymoon trip whatsoever.
Not the point of that.
Even if you got married and went on a trip afterwards, don't call it honeymoon.
I told her that she had already had 2 weeks with him since she had custody for a week before the wedding and that I wanted to spend some father-son time with him. I told her that it was well within my rights that she should go spend some time with her new wife. She argued that since our son's interactions with her partner were limited because of her busy schedule, that this was a great opportunity for them to bond. No, it isn't, you freaking weirdo. I told her that she had 2 weeks for him to get to know her partner. She said that they were busy with the wedding and did not have time. I told her that I had taken vacation days for us to go to a motorcycle expo and build a Lego set, 2 things that my son absolutely loves. She kept arguing, and I finally told her that the custody was placed for a reason, and that's the one thing I will not negotiate on. She got angry at me and left. Me and my son had a great experience. I even got him one of those kid-sized motorcycles since he liked them so much. Over the next few weeks, we returned back to our week in, week out routine. One day, I find that my ex posted a photo shoot of them and my son under a caption of #mommies. I thought that it was a post and it probably meant nothing, but it was showing them as a family, and something about that did not sit right with me. When I got my son for the week, I asked him that if his mom was saying anything to him. He relented a bit, but told me that his mother had been trying to convince him to call her partner his mom. This was a shock to me as I never expected my ex to do this. Then again, I've been wrong about these things before. I asked him if that's something he wanted, and he told me that he is much more comfortable calling her by her first name and that he feels weird calling two people mom. I told him it's okay and that he shouldn't feel pressured to do anything. I called my ex and asked her to meet up because this was serious and I wanted to discuss this. I confronted her about this and she told me that since her and her partner were married, it's only natural for our son to have 2 moms. I I told her that it's not okay for her to try and convince him into calling her partner his mom because she is not his mother. She doesn't have an active parenting role in his life, and that any major parenting decisions require the two of us. She tried making an argument that since me and my girlfriend were becoming serious now, and that eventually I might want him to start calling her mom, which, again, makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Let the kid decide who he wants to call what.
Yep. Like my grandma was supposed to be called Gam Gam, but she got called Mimi. That's what cousin Olivia could figure out at first.
And then now...
And kids come to that, you know?
Yeah.
That's how it
That's the
works.
way it is. I told her even if we become serious, I won't try and convince our son to start calling her mom because he already has two parents and he doesn't need more. Then she dropped the bombshell on me and told me that she and her partner were hoping that eventually down the line they could file for adoption. I'll still be able to visit and see my son, but she wanted her and her wife to have legal guardianship because they wanted to build a new family with them. So I told her absolutely not, and that our parents have no say in our kids' lives. She accused me of being homophobic for denying her the right to a complete family. And I told her while her life is her choice, our son's life has to be a thing that we decide ourselves. And by the way, lady, you can go ahead and adopt whoever you want. Why don't you go ahead and adopt a different kid? Why does it have to be this ours? I ended the conversation there and told my son to tell me if her mother tries to force him to do anything that he doesn't want to do. 3 weeks later, I found out that my ex had enrolled him in Spanish lessons that he told me that he hated doing. For context, my ex is Latin and her partner is Spanish, so they are more comfortable talking to each other in Spanish. We made the decision to raise our son in English because it made sense at the time, as she speaks English better than Spanish and I don't speak any Spanish. When I discussed this, she told me that she would like her son to connect more to his heritage. I said that I don't have any problem with that, but we have tried this several times before when we were married, and he has shown zero interest in it. She told me that this time might be different since he'll have two Spanish speakers at home. I told her that I am all in favor of bilingualism because two languages are always an advantage, especially for kids. But if he doesn't want to do it, there's no real reason to force him to do it. Maybe try another language. She then accuses me of denying our son his roots and goes on a tirade of accusing me of denying our son his identity and coming back to me, denying her right to a family. My girlfriend usually stays out of these matters, but she advised me to contact my lawyer and see what they can actually do. My lawyer told me that even if they send an adoption notice, I can contest it, and it would take something exceptional like abandonment, etc. for my contest to get rejected. My ex keeps posting our son as a part of her new family, and it's honestly starting to trigger me.
Trying to get in your head, dude. Don't let her. Do not let her get in your head.
2 weeks ago, I interacted for the first time with my ex's new wife after the divorce. She contacted me and asked me to meet up. She told me that my ex had finally started to recover from the social trauma of coming out and building a new life with her, and that I am now getting in the way of the happiness. She accused me of being emotionless and uncaring through our divorce, and how I guilt-tripped her into agreeing to my demands of 50-50 custody, and how I should just agree to the eventual adoption in a few years because she has always wanted a son, and that I will still remain my son's dad and I can still visit him. I told her that I don't care what her emotional state was during the divorce.
I just remembered a very sad, tragic tale.
Oh, what is it?
I remember when a young Samuel Donner, he wanted to join the cool kids, but instead of labeling you as one of the cool kids,
They called me Salad Boy because I ate nothing but salads. Could not trade my lunch for a lunch bowl or really anything.
You know what community will always welcome you with open arms, Sam?
And make you feel like a cool kid?
The great people who have OK Storytime memberships.
Ooh, I heard that 60 plus hours of members only content Monday, Wednesday, Fridays.
You heard right, Sam, and it's only $5 a month.
So go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join. Now back to the story.
Chomp, chomp.
And that my demands were fair even to the most irrational person. I told her that if they want to create this image of a perfect family, then they should have another kid that has no connection to me. I feel like all this has started to affect my son more than anything. He is a lot less happier than he was just a few months ago as we had started to adjust to this new reality. For context, since I know this is going to come up eventually, the emotional trauma of my ex coming out is basically the fact that her family effectively disowned her after coming out. Her parents don't talk to her anymore, while my son has plenty of interactions with his maternal grandparents when he's with me. Those two combined make significantly more money than I do alone. However, my ex-wife makes less money than me, but her partner is in a senior position, so she has more stability. This is also an argument my ex-wife used when we discussed adoption, since they can send our son to a private school and generally give him a better life. Hey, did you know that you can do that without adopting him? So by holding that over his head as some sort of token or some bargaining leverage. All it's telling me is that you're using your kid as a tool to win a negotiation, which is insane. Again, completely insane. I don't know if this is a factor, but the recent elections may have caused this to be because they are worried that they might not be able to adopt soon, but they don't want to adopt my son now, but in a few years. So I doubt this to be true. And here comes the update. First of all, I'd like to clarify that my son and I have been going to therapy since the divorce. He was doing quite well until the whole mom saga happened. My in-laws disowned her after she came out. They were not even aware about the affair when she came out to them. They still spend time with my grandson under the condition that they don't badmouth my ex and don't preach their views to him. They agreed and said that they valued a relationship with their grandson over any political view they might hold. I have been a part of every interaction that they have had with him because I was worried they might say something. Thankfully, this has not been the case. Her extended family has said to me that they have cut off all ties with her as well, some for the affair and some for her being gay. Our mutual friends also cut her off because of the affair. All of our mutual friends were my work buddies and their spouses/partners. I did not ask them to do anything. They came to the decision on their own. I was actually glad when she told me that she had made a friend on her own, as she used to complain about not liking her colleagues. We all know how that turned out. I'm pretty sure they're not planning to skip the country. I have all my son's documents, and we decided it during the divorce because she was still figuring out where to go, and since I was moving in with my sister, the chances of them getting misplaced were low. I also have had no demands for any documents, and she returned the passport to me when we came back. The whole adoption thing probably stems from the fact that my son has a very close relationship with his mother. The only times he has really complained to me is when she asked him to call her partner mom, and that she was making him do Spanish classes that he did not want. We did everything for him equally during our marriage, but I had to travel out of my state to my parents frequently during the vid because they were sick with pre-existing conditions and couldn't take care of themselves. My sister was on an assignment abroad at the time. My sister also agreed with this. Please let me know your thoughts. I listened to people and contacted my lawyer, who is also my friend, this morning. He told me the same thing as last time, and that it would take something really unusual for the adoption process to go through, like a child abandonment situation. He also said that they're a bunch of idiots that have no idea how the law works. He also told me that if the whole "we want to adopt him" is a real thing, and if she's talking crap about me to my son and I could prove it, I could get full custody. This has not been the case, as I've not heard my son say that his mom says bad things about me, and this brought me a sigh of relief. I plan to contact my ex today with the following conditions. We both install parenting apps and document all interactions. No more mention to me or my son regarding adoption or calling her partner mom. No more posting images of my son as a part of their perfect queer family, because frankly, I don't want my son's photos on the internet when he's so young, and he can decide what he wants when he's older. I plan to talk to my ex in a couple of hours. Please let me know what you think about this. And there's a second update with the, I'm guessing, update on the situation. Hello all. So I talked to my ex today. She was busy yesterday and I wanted some more time to gather my thoughts. When we met, I put forth my demands, and she told me that the parenting app idea seems fine and that she has no problem with it. She got sad when I told her to drop the idea of adoption and calling her partner mom, as it's just not going to happen. She told me that her family was pressuring her to settle down. I proposed after a year of dating, and I did not know this. And getting pregnant so soon after getting married was not what she had in mind. She got pregnant a year and a half after getting married. Is that soon? I don't know. She told me that she was in the closet all her life because of her parents, and that she thought marrying me would cause her feelings to subside, and that she was happy until she met her partner. She did go through postpartum depression after giving birth, but I did not know that she didn't want to get pregnant so soon. She then told me that they, her wife and her, that the reason they wanted to adopt my son was because she wanted to start new. She then said that she was never really happy during our marriage, and that with her new wife, she could have the family she always dreamed of having. She didn't want my son to grow up to resent her for being a lesbian. She doesn't have the exposure to people like her apart from her and her partner. Look, I have to be honest here. I don't know any gay people, nor anyone in my friends or family is gay. We never talked about these things because it simply doesn't come up in our daily life. But that doesn't mean me and my son have no idea who they are, especially after the divorce. I told her that this is not going to happen and that he has had a lot of exposure to people from her community. I told her that seems like a BS reason for separating my son and me, and that she's making up some random reason to make it seem like it is. And I agree. Because she's low-key trying to say like, well, I don't want my son to grow up to like hate me for being gay. I don't want him to be homophobic, so he should be raised by us. And it's like, hi, hello. Not every person raised in a straight relationship is homophobic.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about?
I don't know.
You want a fresh start with your new partner, your new life, but you want our kid to be legally yours
Seems like
and
she's-
not mine. And you want me to give up all my rights as a parent.
Freaking Hall, she has absolutely no regard for OP or his feelings. Yes, and I
Exactly.
feel like she's just like trying to like whatever she can get and grab to have her son with her.
And it's all emotional. It's all emotional manipulation from them. After some arguing, she told me the real reason why she and her partner want to adopt my son. Reddit is crazy for your prediction abilities. Like, honestly, wow. Apparently, they wanted to adopt my son because her wife and her are considering moving to Spain in a few years. I told her that she can't do that and that the legal framework supports me and my rights in both countries. She told me that she knew this and that's why they wanted to get me to sign adoption. I told her that she was crazy, that she in no way is able to do this as she still needs my permission to take him out of the country as when she did when they got married in Spain. I also read a comment yesterday on the update and researched a bit on the laws regarding this, so I know this is not happening. She told me again that they have done their research and that this was to see if I would agree. In case I agreed, they would consider moving, and in case I don't, they won't because she doesn't want to be separated from my son. I again emphasize that this is not going to happen and that if she tries anything or says anything to my son, I will sue for full custody. She got sad again and told me that they wanted to check with me first. I told her, in what world would you expect me to give you and your wife full custody? First you divorce me, leave me for a woman, and then expect me to sign over my child and act like nothing happened. I told her from this point on, we will document everything, every interaction we have, and that if I even get a whiff of you trying to pull something, I will sue for full custody. She got a bit scared at the idea of losing full custody. I guess she didn't really consider me doing that, and she agreed. I then told her not to paint this picture of a picture-perfect queer family that they are trying to do because that is not going to happen. Our son has a mom and a dad that he spends half his time with each, not two moms. He is not your affair partner's son. He is your son and mine. If you want a child with her, you can do so on your own. I then told her that the courts are more likely to side with me than you in this case because of the thing you have been trying to do and the fact that I work from home and spend more actual time with him than you and your wife. I've been trying for him to have a stable relationship with both parents since the divorce because I don't want him to resent either of us. But if you try to remove me from his life, I will sue for full custody and deal with any resentment he has for either of us. I didn't want to argue anymore and I left the room. I secretly recorded the conversation because I wanted to have proof in case anything happens in the future. Honestly, Reddit, I have been very angry at my ex since the divorce. I have not shown it around her and my son because I don't want her to use this against me in any way and have been going to therapy, but I am still internally angry. The comments she made today about our marriage really hurt me even more. I've spent 7 years with this woman and her betrayal still makes me angry to this day. When I got home, I contacted my lawyer friend and he again reiterated that they would have to kidnap him. I again asked him if there was anything else we could do, and he said that the current agreement is very thorough. We've made sure of that. If I want full custody or not is up to me, but I have to be sure that I want to put me or my son through the whole process. I don't want my son to grow up without either of his parents, as that is just not healthy for him. That is why I won't sue for full custody now. If they are stupid enough to kidnap him, I'm sure they are not. Then the law sides with me anyway. I know what position her partner is at their workplace, so I know they're making good money to leave it all behind for no good reason. As for the passport thing, I have all his documents and all things such as notifying travel, hospital visits, and others are already in the signed custody agreement. We already have a legal framework for all of this. I am not going to sue for full custody now because I don't want that for my son. My ex-wife is still a good mother and loves him, and he enjoys spending time with her. Plus, my son is the type of person to openly voice out what he doesn't find okay to me. So I will know if they continue any of their nonsense. And by the way, if you want to continue your nonsense with us, you can do so at your discretion because there's full episodes with stories just like this. All you have to do is go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts and search OK Storytime. There is some more story here. I mean,
again, zero consideration for her husband or not ex-husband with someone that she spent years of. No, there's a lot here. There's a lot of things to dissect here. Number one, marrying someone whenever not attracted to that sex.
yeah, it's like,
and
and that comes
deceiving
from
someone.
a deep place, right? It's like she said she always knew that she was gay. Literally had to be closeted because she knew her family would not accept her.
Yeah, which
Like the whole time.
that is messed up, and I don't know what people's stories are, but I mean, I understand where he's coming at from a place of anger. And
Well, exactly.
The fact that he's went to therapy and worked on that is awesome.
It should be able to be acknowledged that like what she went through with being closeted and like being rejected by her family is terrible, but that in that same stroke, it like doesn't excuse what happened to OP and that decision and her behavior like caused him to be deeply hurt.
Yeah.
And even though the root of that from her is coming from a place of like not being accepted and being kind of afraid of being rejected and disowned and stuff, like it still is like the hurt that he experienced is still real. And like nobody on the other side has acknowledged that he has felt anything. And it blows my mind that they keep talking like it's like, well, shouldn't you just want to give us the kid anyway? Like then you won't have to take care of it. And it's like, whoa, who do you think I am? Crazy.
We got a little bit left of the story.
Let's go. On a more positive note, y'all, I am not against Spanish lessons, but he doesn't like them. I was just suggesting that he try some languages that he likes. There are other languages out there. I didn't say it to my ex then, but now I know that she was trying for him to learn Spanish because of the Spain thing. Thank you to everyone for their support. It really helped me with understanding the problem. And holy crap, I didn't even consider her considering moving to Spain until I read the comments. Y'all are great at this.
But dude, that one was wild.
That was wild,
gosh.
Like
it was heavy too. I didn't know how to respond to most of that.
It's just it's a really unfortunate situation, and it's like clearly
I would be devastated if that happened.
And this is why it's hard, man. It's like I would say that the moral of that story is that like if you live a lie for too long, like a lot, like people will get hurt. More people than just you. That is the end of that story.
My cheater ex-husband abandoned us, so I don't want him back in our lives.
That sounds like pretty reasonable advice.
My ex, 27 male, let's call him Jim,
Hey.
and I, 30 female, met around 8 years ago. We dated for 6 months. Then got married, and we were married for about 7 years. Wow.
And then nothing bad happened.
By the way, this comes from Accurate Buyer 26 on the r/showcase Storytime subreddit. So when I met him, he was Republican, raised Christian, and besides being really lazy, we never had an issue. His family was very friendly and active in our lives. We met when we were both serving in the Navy, and when he got out, I supported him while he flipped through school, hopping from career idea to career idea until he found the one he liked. It took quite a few years. During our marriage, we had 2 kids. Let's just call them Jack and Jill for fun. Jack will be 5 and Jill almost 6 right now, and Jill just turned 4. Both very young. When Jack was 3, he was diagnosed with autism, nonverbal, but fairly high functioning. And my ex's overall withdrawal from interactions with him should have been my cue to say adios, but I figured he would mature with age. Around the time our oldest was turning 4, I got out of the Navy and became a stay-at-home mother, with our special needs child being my job, if you will. Even though I was still making the same amount of money as Jim, I was doing all of the child work and housework on my own. He got a dog that he refused to brush, so it became my job. It was a Malamute, so it was a job of its own. You get the point. Overall, extremely lazy and terrible with money. We bought a house, and 20 days after we closed, the pipes burst, flooding the entire house. It was a 1-story home, so we were devastated. I put the $23,000 on my credit card to fix it because I had kids, and running water is very nice. Did he help? You guessed it, no. It followed me for 2 years where we lived. Basically, I married a man-child, and everyone saw it but me. Now, as unhelpful as he was, his family was so nice. They immediately accepted me in, since I don't have any family. It really meant a lot to me. His dad was a strong military man and had been in the Marine Corps for about an eternity. His mom had little jobs to pass the time, but was so nice. She noticed the signs of Jack's autism and kept up with things once he had the diagnosis. She would call and check up frequently to chat and check in, and we spent every holiday possible with him. He had a sister that I grew very close to, and it was going great. They would give Jim advice on how to help more, and he would take it for about a week, then slide back into my 3rd child position. Overall, I was content with life. 6 months before my marriage imploded, Jim started to change. I mean, in every possible way. He went from smoking meat at least twice a month and eating meat with every meal to being a vegetarian. He went from being Republican to a liberal, from supporting the police to hating them. He went from making fun of holistic practices to carrying around crystals. And then at the end, he truly believed he was a witch. Each change was a month apart, roughly. so I would barely have time to wrap my head around one major life change before he hit me with another. It went from never doing substances to getting a medical card and growing the devil's lettuce inside of our home. This was our only issue because of Jack and Jill. Towards the end, he had a long conversation with me about exploring his spirituality. Now he was the father of my children and was having some serious mental health concerns. I got him into therapy out of my own pocket. Girl!
Sweetie pie move right there.
Uh,
That's, well, actually, it's more than the sweetie pie move. It's thinking of the children. My children need their dad to be not unhinged. So I guess I'll pay for his therapy for the kids.
yeah.
For the kids, not for him.
For the children.
The children.
He went to therapy and basically he came out as bi. I helped him come out to his family. I held his hand while he cried over a couple of months. I got him back on his feet and ensured he didn't lose his job. At this point, I was thinking he could just want to co-parent together and be civil, but then his boyfriend showed up. I knew there was a lover. I knew there was a lover involved in this.
It's because you're a lover.
Not a hater.
I'm a lover boy. Long story short, I caught him cheating with this guy a week after I had given him an out from the marriage, and he had said he did not want to leave. We were soulmates, and he just wanted me to know all of who he was and all that. And now his mother and his sister both told me that he was more than likely cheating on me and that had been a previous issue. Oh, so he been cheating.
Well, my sympathy levels are dropping rapidly.
After I caught him, he came to me and told me he did not want to be a father anymore, especially to a child as broken and damaged as Jack.
Ooh, and
no,
now you're
no.
getting thrown into an industrial smelter. I'm melting you down into your base components.
That is wild. Yes, I recorded that whole conversation, and yes, I immediately kicked him out. He did not fight me on anything, gave me the house, signed over the kids, and quit his job and moved into a tent in the woods with his boyfriend.
Excuse me?
They hopped from campground to campground, but more on that later.
Are these people... What?
I had to
That's
sell...
not the behavior of people who aren't actively committing felonies. Like, what is that?
I had to sell the house. I could not afford the entire mortgage on my own with the debt I had on my shoulders from the house. With nothing but my pure depression determination, we had the house fixed up, ripped the flooring up, and put new flooring in the bedrooms, and painted a bunch of other things. I had my friends come and help a couple of weekends, but I made a really good profit off that house. I had to move a couple of states away, stay with a friend to get back on my feet. They lived in the middle of nowhere, and there were no service out there for Jack. I knew I couldn't stay there. Remember Jimmy the hippie? Him and his boyfriend broke up after 3 months while I was staying with my friend and had to retreat out of the woods. I heard he got a job, I don't know where, and he found a place, I don't know where. He changed his phone number, and I don't have that either. I had given him my number and the address of my friend to everyone so they knew where we were for emergency purposes. His parents texted my new number and told me they had to support Jim, and if he didn't want to be in our lives, neither did they. His mother told me he did not want any photos or videos, did not want to speak to us, and would put birthday and Christmas money into an account for them when they turned 18. His sister has blocked me on everything, and aside from paying not nearly enough in child support, I haven't heard from him either. We have just went through Jill's birthday and Christmas and New Year's without one word from anyone about the well-being. While writing this, it has been about 7 months in Ghost City. What? The grandparents and the aunts abandoned them?
Dang, I didn't expect that.
They were great flags.
I didn't expect the extended family to pull Danny Phantom here. That's crazy. They are phantoms.
Well, I
wonder why
the family to be garbage.
Do they blame OP for what happened?
No, they're supporting their son. So in supporting my son, I have to abandon a part of his family.
Low-key, there were some comments in here that is like, if you're like hopping from tent to tent with your new boyfriend and completely off the map, no communication, like you're up to no good. I don't know what you're doing. It's not great. And there were some people in the chat that were like, I'm sorry, but that's hard drugs.
Yeah.
They are skirting around.
Oh, yeah.
Ice skating.
After staying with my friend, paying off all of my debt, and shooting my credit score to the moon, I moved back to our home state, found a place to rent in an amazing school district for Jack, and got back on my feet and finally moved out and finally found my peace. I reconnected with an old Navy friend who has been helping us a ton and treats me like an actual queen, though we are taking it very slow. And something that you don't have to take slow is finding us on your favorite podcast platform and listening to all the crazy stories just like this, just go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and look up Okay Storytime. And we got a plethora of
Crazy stories just like this, where your husband becomes bi and then starts doing hard drugs in a tent with a strange man.
Yes.
Just like that.
Just like that.
To be honest, most of them are not like that. Some of them are.
I would say 30%.
30? That's such a high split,
I'm
dude.
just picking.
That's 1 in 3.
every other one would basically be this. But OP has healed, and we're getting the best update ever. Jack is in school and starts talking a bit more every day.
We're going to get back to the story, but Sam, you have a copious amount of something.
What, John?
X's.
I have like 4 or 5 or 6.
I heard of 6 with a 0
All
behind
right,
it.
that 60 number, comes from somewhere else.
Where does that come from?
It comes from our OK Storytime membership.
Yeah, that's freaking right. We have 60 plus hours of exclusive live streams on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
It's only $5 a month, so go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join.
Join a club almost as exclusive as Sam's X's. Well, let's get back to the story.
And Jill is living her absolute best life. We finally have the life we should have had so long ago, and I am exceptionally proud of both my kiddos. I've learned a lot about narcissistic people and how to best avoid them in life. That being said, I did not tell anyone my new address because I figured if they wanted to know, they would ask. His grandmother has been the only one on my side, and I kept her fully informed. But other than that, I'm letting them have their space. So, am I the a-hole for not telling them my new address? And I have full custody, and it is in our papers.
I'm sorry. Sometimes the am I the a-hole questions are so funny to me because it's like,
I forgot this is an Am I the A-hole post.
it's just like it's like the equivalent of being like, am I the a-hole for saying 2 + 2 = 4?
Yeah.
Like, am I? It's like, of course you're not, dude. Of course you don't want your weird, sketchy, like completely now destabilized ex-partner
Yeah.
or any of his family to have anything to do with you anymore.
Absolutely not.
Of course not. It's crazy.
But if you love us, make sure to freaking subscribe.
Hey, we love you.
and
see you tomorrow.